Hello, friends. Aloha pa and Happy New Year. It's 2018 now. And I wanted to continue the study or just the reading of some answered questions by Abdu'l-Baha. In the last few sections that we read in the first chapter, it has to do with the fact that humanity is always in need of somebody to educate them. And God has sent to us series of new religions that have come from prophets like the Bab, like Baha'u'llah, like Moses, Jesus, Buddha, and all these wonderful prophets or manifestations of God that help us get closer to God, help us advance civilization, to create order in society. Now we are going to go and look into a little bit closely who were these prophets God has sent to us. So the first one that Abdu'l-Baha talks about is Abraham. He says, as we can read here, among those who possessed this divine power and were assisted by it was Abraham. The proof of this, Abraham was born in Mesopotamia of a family that was ignorant of the oneness of God. He opposed his own people and government, and even his own kin. He rejected all their gods, and alone and single-handed, he withstood a powerful nation. Such opposition and resistance were not simple or trivial. It is as though one were in this day to deny Christ among Christian nations who firmly cling to the Bible, or as though one were, God forbid, to blaspheme Christ and the papal court, oppose all his followers, and to act thus in the most vehement manner. These people believed not in one God, but in many gods, to whom they ascribed miracles, and hence they all rose up against Abraham. No one supported him except his nephew Lot, and one or two other individuals of no consequence. At last the intensity of his enemies' opposition obliged him, utterly wronged, to forsake his native land. In reality, he was banished, that he might be reduced to naught, and that no trace of him might remain. Abraham then came to these regions, that is, to the Holy Land, which is Israel. My point is that his enemies imagined that this exile would lead to his destruction and ruin. And indeed, if a man is banished from his native land, deprived of his rights, and oppressed from every side, he is bound, even if he be a king, to be reduced to naught. But Abraham stood fast and showed forth extraordinary constancy, and God changed his exile into abiding honor, till at last he established the oneness of God. For all that time, the generality of mankind were idol worshippers. This exile became the cause of the progress of Abraham's descendants. This exile resulted in their being given the Holy Land. This exile resulted in the diffusion of Abraham's teachings. This exile resulted in the appearance of a Jacob from the seed of Abraham, and of a Joseph who became ruler in Egypt. This exile resulted in the appearance of a Moses from that same seed. This exile resulted in the appearance of a being such as Christ from that lineage. This exile resulted in a Hagar being found, of whom Ishmael was begotten, and from whom Muhammad in turn descended. This exile resulted in the appearance of the Bab from the lineage of Abraham. This exile resulted in the appearance of the prophets of Israel from the progeny of Abraham, and so will it continue forevermore. This exile resulted in the whole of Europe and most of Asia entering under the shadow of the God of Israel. Behold, what a power was that enabled an emigrant to establish such a family, to found such a nation, and to promulgate such teachings. Now, can anyone claim that all this was purely fortuitous? We must be fair. Was this man an educator or not? It behooves us to ponder a while that if the emigration of Abraham from Ur to Aleppo in Syria produced such results, what will be the effect of the exile of Baha'u'llah from Tehran to Baghdad, and from thence to Constantinople, to Rumelia, and to the Holy Land? Behold then, what an accomplished educator Abraham was. So this is basically centered on this idea that Abraham was trying to basically guide the people who worshipped many idols, many gods. I think a lot of them are considered like pagans or whatever, because they worship stones and basically material objects that are destructible. They die, you know, like a rock or something. One of Abraham's main tasks was to establish the understanding of the oneness of God and the kind of God that is a true God, a God that is not made up of human imagination. It's not made up of worshipping of the idols or misdirected worship or anything like that. He educated us to worship God with an understanding that he is unknowable in his essence, that we only know God through prophets like Abraham, through Baha'u'llah, through the Bab, through Muhammad, and all the prophets that we have thus far have had in the time of history. That was one of his main tasks. And his other main task, Abraham, was to basically begin a line of prophets, you know, from his seed, like Abdu'l-Baha was mentioning here. Individuals such as Moses, Jesus, Muhammad. These are from Abraham's descendants, right? So it's really interesting that Abraham, an exile from his native land, the leaders of his nation were trying to get rid of him to stop his influence. Actually, he became powerful, you know, giving birth to wonderful prophets that we've had so far, and such an education that we've got from each of them that has been basically priceless for the world and for our heritage as humanity. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Give it a like, subscribe, share. See you guys on my next time.